Hey guys, my name is Jeff. Welcome to the channel. If you've been here before, then welcome back. Today, I'm going to show you something that you have never seen before, and I promise it is going to change the way you think about investing in ETFs. So what I want to tell you about is something that I read a long time ago when I started investing. And it really opened my eyes because you know the expression, do as I say, not as I do. Well, you know, the Vanguard funds, right? We all pretty much have heard of them, and many of us know that Jack Bogle was a pioneer. He founded the Vanguard group and he brought all of these index funds to the public, to regular people, and in a way that we could own a broad collection of stocks all across the stock market at a really low cost. He probably did more for the small investor than any other person in the history of US and stock investing. But I want to tell you about something that's real interesting that you may never have heard. In fact, I don't believe anybody watching this video has ever heard this. Now, I dug up an article here. This is from the New York Times, and it was dated May 31st, 1998. The Vanguard Group is making some changes in the legal structure of its funds. As part of the change, the company directors were required to disclose their holdings of Vanguard funds. So this is a very interesting, unique window into what these people actually owned. And what interests me the most is Jack Bogle and what he owned, especially because he's such a proponent of index investing. And I think when a lot of people think of the S&P 500 index fund or the total stock market, we think of Vanguard and Jack Bogle. This is right here on a piece of paper, which I transcribed onto the board back here so you can see. So Jack Bogle's 5 top holdings are right here. Are we in focus? Can you see it? All right, we're ready to go. The number 1 holding is Windsor. Windsor is an actively managed mutual fund. It still exists today, and he had $4.6 million in it. His number 2 holding was Muni Bonds Limited Term, and that's $3.2 million. His 3rd holding is the Tax Managed Balanced Fund, so that is stocks and bonds make up a balanced fund. He had $3.1 million. Number 4 holding is Muni Bond Intermediate Term, $2.5 million. And this is the Tax Managed Capital Appreciation. I hadn't written down the bottom part, but I just remember that fund. It was a well-known fund, Tax Managed Capital Appreciation. $2.3 million. So what you can see there, or what you don't see there, I think is more conspicuous, is you don't see an index fund like the S&P 500. And you don't see a total stock market index fund like the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index. And it makes me wonder, it really is one of these do as I say, not as I do. I do find it interesting and instructive that the man who provided index investing to the whole country at a very low cost didn't choose an index fund for his top holding. This is for him and for his family, his children, his grandchildren. Here's everything you need to know. The first thing here I've listed is the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index, and here is the equivalent ETF. Over 20 years, the total stock market, Vanguard total stock market, has returned 8.56%. And if you had invested $10,000 back in 2002, it would be worth $54,569 today. We're talking September 12th, 2022. If you invested in the S&P 500 index, and here is the ETF, VOO, your return would be 8.15%, which is very similar. And your total dollar amount that $10,000 would have turned into is $50,460. Now here is what Jack Bogle invested most of his money in, and this is the Vanguard Windsor Fund. The return was 7.54, still a very respectable return for a long period of time. And the 20-year return is $44,902. So if he had just invested in the total stock market, he would have actually had $10,000 more than in the active fund. Now, I just wanted to point this out to you because I just think it's fascinating. If you were to do a survey or ask people, and maybe you want to do this yourself, ask one of your friends who's really into investing in index funds, ask them what Jack Bogle's top 5 investments would be and see what they say, because my guess would be that the S&P 500 would probably be one of the top spots. But in reality, an actively managed mutual fund is the number one. Now, I wanted to tell you a little bit about what's in the Windsor Fund today, because I just think it's instructive. Now, most of us, we talk about, hear about, learn about the same stocks, the same companies from day to day. It's like Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Nvidia, Tesla, and on down the line, right? All of these companies are kind of in the front of our mind when we think about what stocks to invest in. In fact, I just happen to have right here a list of the top holdings of VTI, which also happen to be the top holdings of VOO, the S&P 500 index ETF. So it's Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Tesla, Alphabet C, United Health Group, Johnson & Johnson, Berkshire Hathaway, and Facebook. Okay, so what's interesting about Windsor, listen to the stocks they invest in. Westinghouse Air Brake Technologies Corp., that's the first holding. The second is MetLife Inc., which is an insurance company. Then T-Mobile, Facebook, Charles Schwab, Cognizant Technology Solutions, Chubb Limited, Keurig Dr. Pepper, Exelon Corp., and Voya Financial. I just mentioned this because very few of these, with the exception of Facebook, T-Mobile, and Charles Schwab, very few of these are companies that get talked about from day to day. But what I find interesting is that the actively managed fund that Windsor has teams of analysts and investors who make decisions on which stocks make it in the portfolio and which ones they don't invest in. And this is very different from the S&P 500 index or the total stock market. So there you have it. Jack Bogle, the way he invested seems different from the things that he provided in terms of index funds for the masses. But I think you should know about it because, do as I say, not as I do. It's very interesting. I believe it's instructive to know that the things that people talk about and the things that people advocate, and in Jack Bogle's case, the index funds that his company made available to the populace is not necessarily what Bogle himself invested in. So I hope this has been useful info, that you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give this video a like. And if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, I hope you will do that. And that way you will get a notification whenever I make new videos like this. I'm real glad you joined, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.